Back to the facility, Tony's suit had performed well, but it wasn't perfect. The lack of proper scans through the reinforced walls, the difficulty in breaching the security system, and the minor energy fluctuation after extended usage of stealth and cloth transform mode. These were all things that needed fixing. As he stepped into his workspace, Hermes chimed in. "Welcome back, boss. Mission outcome, 92% success. However, I detected multiple instances where suit efficiency could be improved." Tony smirked, deactivating his suit. The nanites retracted back into the arc reactor. Yeah. Don't rub it in. I already have a list of things to tweak." He pulled up a holographic blueprint of the nanite suit. The design shimmered in the air, layers of data running across the screen. "Alright, let's get to work. First up." He tapped on the scanner module, magnifying its schematics. "The visor. Those Hydra bastards used some kind of material to block my scans. I need a workaround." He began running simulations, analyzing what materials could block his current sensor suite. After a few minutes, the results came in. Their walls were lined with graphene composite plating mixed with trace elements of anti-surveillance alloys, Hermes informed. Tony exhaled, rubbing his chin. "TSK. That's annoying." His fingers moved rapidly across the holographic interface, making adjustments. Upgrade number 1, Multiphase Scanner 1, added an alternative scanning mode using low-frequency sonic pulses to map out structures blocked by traditional scans. Point 2, Integrated infrared particle tracking, allowing him to trace movements through dense materials. Point 3, Built a quantum resonance filter, capable of detecting signals hidden behind electromagnetic dampeners. Scanner upgrade complete. Estimated efficiency increase, 68%, Hermes announced. Tony grinned. "That should give me an edge next time. Keep running the simulations and amp it up to 80% or above. Then begin the production process." "Affirmative," Hermes replied. Next, he focused on the suit's power distribution. While it was already cutting edge, he needed just a bit more efficiency to ensure sustained combat operations. Upgrade number 2, Amped Up Energy Grid 1, increased the energy output by 5% using an advanced nanite-based superconductive weave. Point 2, optimized the power routing system, ensuring faster charge redistribution across different modules. Point 3, installed a secondary microreactor to provide emergency power if primary energy sources were disabled. "That should stop any nasty surprises," Tony muttered as he finalized the schematics. "Legion, you are up for this one. Run multiple simulations, then send the data to Hermes." "Hermes, you'll take care of the production process." "Affirmative," both the AIs replied at the same time. Finally, the biggest challenge was creating a new class of drones designed to handle situations like Hydra's air-gapped, analog-based security systems. Although the old ones are good, he wanted to create something specifically to handle all types of security. He leaned back in his chair, thinking. "If I can't hack their systems remotely, I need something that can get inside and do the dirty work for me." His hands flew across the holodisplay, designing 2 types of specialized microdrones, M.I.T.E, micro-infiltration and tactical espionage. Drones 1, these tiny, spider-like drones could physically bypass analog systems by directly rewiring circuits or manually flipping switches inside locked facilities. Point 2, equipped with nanoplasma cutters, capable of silently slicing through mechanical locks and security panels. Point 3, could override manual safeties, forcing doors, safes, and vaults open without traditional hacking. WASP, wireless adaptive surveillance probes, 1, designed to attach to fiber optic cables and manually intercept data streams, bypassing the no wireless security measures. Point 2, could deploy a physical bypass circuit, fooling air-gapped systems into believing they were still operational while feeding false data. Point 3, used high-speed neural link processors to analyze security patterns and predict the next lockdown sequences. Tony smirked as he completed the designs. "Let's see Hydra block this." It was past midnight, but sleep was a foreign concept when he was on the verge of something groundbreaking. His AIs, Hermes and Legion, were running simulations on the MITE and WASP drones, ensuring they could operate flawlessly against Hydra's security. But Tony? He was working on something even more ambitious, a project, internal Nanite integration. He tapped a sequence into his console, bringing up a detailed anatomical model of his own body, rotating it in midair. Every artery, every vein, every nerve pathway, mapped down to the smallest detail. "Alright, let's make this work without turning me into a walking tumor," Tony muttered. This wasn't the Aegis serum. That project had been about externalized bio-nanites that accelerated healing at a cellular level. But what he wanted now was different. He needed seamless nanite integration into his bloodstream, merging them with his biological functions without causing rejection or catastrophic failure. It wasn't easy. Nanite rejection. His immune system would immediately treat foreign nanites as invaders and try to destroy them. Energy consumption. A constant supply of power would be needed to keep the nanites operational inside his body. Neurological syncing. The nanites had to respond instantly to his thoughts without requiring external commands. Toxicity and clotting. A miscalculation could cause clotting in his bloodstream, leading to a stroke, or worse, that he needed a biocompatible interface, something that would allow the nanites to merge with his body on a fundamental level. And that's when it hit him that he placed his hand on his forehead, feeling the subtle warmth of the gem in his skull. The Infinity Gem had already enhanced his intelligence far beyond human limits, allowing his brain to process information at speeds no normal person could comprehend. If he could use its energy signature to stabilize the nanites, they would function as an extension of himself rather than as foreign objects. Tony grinned. Time to break the rules of biology. The formula, nanite symbiosis compound. Over the next 12 hours, he ran hundreds of calculations, synthesizing potential formulas at the molecular level. His hands worked tirelessly, blending synthetic proteins with quantum nanomaterials, creating an entirely new form of bio-nanite fusion. Step 1. Adaptive cellular integration. He modified the nanites to mimic stem cells, tricking his body into recognizing them as part of his system. This would prevent rejection and allow them to self-repair like natural cells. Step 2. Quantum neural link. Using the Infinity Gem's frequency, he created a neuroelectric interface, allowing the nanites to link directly with his synapses. No external commands. No delays. His thoughts would be the control system. Step 3. Infinite power supply. The nanites wouldn't rely on a conventional power source. Instead, they would draw energy directly from his bioelectrical field, just like mitochondria in his cells. Backup power would come from a quantum capacitor, allowing them to sustain operation indefinitely. It didn't take long to create it. The final formula shimmered inside a reinforced vial with a faint golden glow. A liquid nanite hybrid made out of carbon nanotubes. Tony made sure to take early precautions against mutants like Magneto who can control metal. Tony smirked, twirling the vial between his fingers. If this works, I become the next step in human evolution. If it fails, well, let's not think about that. He placed the Aegis serum on the table before him and had Elena use the humanoid robot. If things go wrong, Elena would inject him with the serum, preventing his death. "I am ready," Elena said. "Good luck to me," Tony said with a smirk. He rolled up his sleeve and injected the solution directly into his forearm. Instantly, he felt it. A strange warmth spread through his veins, not painful, but intensely aware. He could feel the nanites moving, integrating, adapting. His heart rate spiked for a moment before stabilizing. The system recalibrated as Tony focused. He closed his eyes, concentrating. "Move," the nanites responded. For the first time, Tony Stark didn't just control technology, he was technology. Tony's stomach growled loudly, breaking the silence of the lab. His enhanced metabolism was already kicking in, burning through calories at an alarming rate as his body adapted to the nanites. "Alright, science can wait. Food first." He exited the lab and made his way to the kitchen, where he pulled out a leftover steak, mashed potatoes, and garlic bread from the fridge. He barely had the patience to heat it up before digging in, devouring the meal like a starving man. Between bites, he checked his vitals on his holowatch. The nanites had fully integrated. No rejection, no clotting, no system failures. Instead, his body was functioning at peak efficiency, absorbing nutrients faster, and breaking down waste more effectively. His muscles felt stronger, his reflexes sharper. By the time he was finished eating, he felt unstoppable. After eating, Tony took a nap. He was tired. A few hours later, he woke up after a nice nap. Tony stood in front of the mirror, rolling his shoulders and flexing his fingers as he studied his reflection. At first glance, he looked the same. But he felt different. He was stronger, faster, and more attuned to every fiber of his being. The Nanites had done more than just integrate, they had become him. A smirk tugged at his lips. I really am a genius. But there was no time to marvel at his own brilliance. Testing was next. All right, Hermes, Legion, he called out, stepping toward the center of his lab. Diagnostics check. I want a full analysis of my biometrics, reaction time, and energy consumption. Running diagnostics, Hermes responded smoothly. Tony exhaled, his muscles already buzzing with energy. He needed a real test, something to push the limits. And he had just the thing in mind. Activate the training protocol. He went to the training room. All right, boys. Let's see what I can do. Without warning, a barrage of rubber-tipped projectiles shot toward him from multiple angles. His instincts kicked in, and before his brain could consciously react, his body moved. He dodged to the left, then twisted, narrowly avoiding another volley. His perception of time felt different. It was much slower and more controlled. Wow. That felt good. Reaction speed increased by 34%, Hermes noted. Neural transmission rates are exceeding baseline human limitations. Tony grinned as he effortlessly sidestepped another projectile. He hadn't even activated his suit yet. All right, let's crank it up, he muttered. Give me something real. Commencing Phase 2. The walls shifted, revealing a set of reinforced training bots. Each one is capable of mimicking real-world enemy attack patterns. Tony cracked his knuckles. Come on, big boys. Let's dance. The first bot lunged at him. Instinctively, Tony dodged and countered with a sharp jab. The impact sent the bot flying into the wall, leaving a dent in the reinforced plating. He blinked. Whoa. Muscle density has increased by 27%, Hermes reported. Nanite-assisted motion control active. The second bot swung at him, and this time, Tony didn't bother dodging. He caught its fist mid-air, feeling the force reverberate through his arm. With a simple twist, he ripped the bot's arm clean off and tossed it aside. He whistled. Okay, that's new. But his moment of admiration was cut short as 3 more bots charged him at once. Tony moved purely on instinct. One bot swung for his head, he ducked, pivoted, and delivered a vicious knee strike to its midsection, sending it crumpling to the floor. Another bot tried to grab him, but before it could, Tony's palm snapped out, shoving it back with enough force to shatter its chest plate. The last bot attempted to flank him, but something new kicked in. His vision momentarily overlaid a predictive trajectory, a faint red arc showing where the attack would land. Without hesitation, he sidestepped and delivered a pinpoint strike to the bot's head, dismantling it in one hit. Adaptive combat processing detected, Hermes confirmed. You are subconsciously analyzing attack patterns and adjusting response efficiency in real time. Tony grinned as the last bot fell to the floor in pieces. He barely felt winded. He stood there for a moment, letting it sink in. I just wiped out an entire squad of combat bots. Without the suit, he murmured. With the bio-nanites, I should be immune to toxins, diseases, and drugs. And I should be able to dodge more or less every assassination attempt on my life in the future. Well. Gotta get more vibranium, but as exhilarating as it was, that thought came with a new weight. If he had this power, how long before someone tried to take it from him? Or worse, weaponize it? His smirk faded. Alright, that's enough for today. Ending simulation, Hermes responded, the room powered down, and Tony exhaled. His heart was still steady. His body felt alive, but there was one last thing he needed to test. Tony took a steady breath, focusing inward. It was time to push the limits even further. He willed it to happen. Instantly, the nanites in his bloodstream responded. A subtle tingle crawled over his skin as microscopic machines surged outward, flowing like liquid metal. They coalesced along his arms, his chest, his legs, until his entire body was encased in black and gold armor. The transformation was seamless, the transition instantaneous. No assembly, no delay, just pure, living technology forming around him like a second skin. Whoa! He flexed his fingers, watching the plating shift and adapt to his movements. The suit wasn't just an extension of him. It was him. It moved when he thought, and responded before he even finished a command. No mechanical whirs, no clunky locking systems. It was just pure, fluid motion. Suit integrity at 100%, Hermes chimed in. Nanite dispersion is stable. Energy output within safe limits. Tony rolled his shoulders, feeling power course through his every fiber. With a thought, he activated the repulsors. Energy flared to life in his palms, humming smoothly. He raised one hand, palm out, and fired a short burst at the nearest training wall. The blast erupted with 10 times the force he expected, the impact leaving a molten, smoldering crater. Tony blinked. Okay. That's new. Repulsor output has increased by 243%, Hermes noted. Tony grinned. Wow. Dial it down a bit. Set 100 as default. Affirmative. The AI replied, engage flight. The moment he thought it, the nanites shifted. Energy coursed through his legs and back, and in a smooth, effortless motion, he launched into the air. The lab blurred around him as he hovered, stabilizing with an ease that felt almost instinctual. Flight control is 89% more efficient than previous iterations, Hermes informed. Your reaction time is compensating for turbulence before it even registers. Tony smirked. Let's crank it up. He rocketed forward, weaving through the lab with impossible precision. There was no lag, no overcorrection, just pure, perfect motion. It was like his body already knew what to do. Ah. It's already night? HAA. Gotta keep an eye on time. Elena, take care of the surveillance. I'm gonna take a spin around. Have a safe journey, boss, Elena replied. Tony spun midair, twisted, then shot straight up through the ceiling hatch, bursting into the night sky. The night air rushed past him as he ascended, the city sprawling beneath him like a sea of twinkling lights. He took a deep breath, letting the moment sink in. The nanites adjusted to the altitude seamlessly, regulating his oxygen intake, compensating for air pressure. Every part of his body felt alive, enhanced beyond human limitations. All right, let's see just how fast I can go, Tony muttered, a smirk tugging at his lips that he angled his body slightly forward and thought, full acceleration. The response was instant. Energy surged through his suit, and in a blur, he rocketed forward. The cityscape became a streak of neon and motion as he tore through the sky, breaking the sound barrier with a muted boom that barely left a ripple in his wake. His AI was already adjusting for wind resistance, minimizing turbulence, and keeping his trajectory smooth. Mach 2.5 and climbing, Hermes reported. Systems operating at peak efficiency. Tony let out a whistle. Damn. I might just be the fastest thing in the air. He wove effortlessly through the skyscrapers, feeling more like a force of nature than a man in a suit. This was different. This wasn't him piloting an exosuit, this was his body, his reflexes, his mind seamlessly integrated with the nanites. After taking a spin around, Tony grinned as he soared over the ocean, the city lights fading behind him. The rush of speed was intoxicating, but he needed to test more than just flight. All right, Hermes, he said, eyes locking onto the vast expanse of dark water ahead. Time to see how this baby handles underwater. Adjusting Nanite configuration for aquatic mobility, Hermes responded. Hydrodynamic resistance calibration in progress. Tony angled downward, shifting his body into a dive position. The moment he hit the water, there was no violent impact, no sudden loss of control. The nanites adjusted instantly, dispersing the force of entry and allowing him to cut through the ocean like a torpedo. "Alright, that's smooth," Tony muttered as he streamlined his form. The HUD adjusted, filtering out the darkness with thermal imaging and sonar overlays. The suit moved seamlessly, adapting to the new environment without lag. Buoyancy stabilization active, Hermes informed. Current speed, 75 knots and climbing. Tony propelled himself forward with a mere thought, and the suit responded instantly. Hydrodynamic efficiency has increased by 312% compared to the Mark 50 suit, Hermes noted. Estimated max velocity, Mach 1.2 underwater. He whistled. Mach speed in water? Now that's something. He tested maneuverability next, twisting and spiraling upward, executing tight turns that would have strained even his previous suit designs. The nanites responded flawlessly, adjusting instantly to the shifting currents. "Alright, Hermes, let's see how the repulsors work down here." He raised his palm and fired a low-energy blast. The result was a focused, superheated burst of plasma that vaporized the surrounding water, creating a pressurized shockwave that displaced everything within a 10-meter radius. Holy! Tony barely had time to react as the force sent him backward slightly. Repulsor efficiency underwater at 167% of baseline projections, Hermes stated. Compensating for pressure resistance. Tony grinned. Good. Let's up the ante. He activated his uni-beam, but instead of the usual wide dispersal, the nanites automatically reshaped the output, creating a narrow, high-intensity energy lance. The blast carved through the ocean like a laser, creating a tunnel of superheated vapor before the water rushed back in. "Damn," Tony muttered. His eyes went toward the oxygen level. "Well, time to get out of here. I can think of a way or two more to improve it further." This story continues. Subscribe to the channel for the remaining episodes. Thank you for watching and liking the channel.